Welcome back to our channel, where we uncover the most gripping true crime stories from around the world. Today, we're delving into another tragic and heartbreaking case. Pearl Smith worked daily as a fish packer, packing crates of fish to be shipped nationwide. Despite the hard work, the pay was minimal. After work, she often visited a bar where she was a regular, as was Bill Bruns, a trucker 13 years her senior, who transported fish from Maine to Montreal. They had much in common, especially their fondness for drinking, but neither had been lucky in love. Pearl had been divorced 5 times and Bill's third marriage had just ended. They eventually fell in love and married in the summer of 1986. Their relationship grew very close, and they met for lunch daily at a marina restaurant. However, on August 13th, 1991, Pearl's daughter, Elaine, called the police to report her mother missing after she failed to show up for a highly anticipated family reunion. Elaine described her mother as a loving and caring woman who was everyone's best friend and would give the last shirt off her back to anyone in need. She was always there for others. Detective Linda Barker from South Portland was assigned to investigate the case. At the Bruns home, she noticed that none of Pearl's clothes, jewelry, or personal belongings were missing. Pearl's most prized possession, a black Cadillac with Pearl B license plates, was still in the garage. Pearl was very attached to her Cadillac and rarely went anywhere without it, which raised Elaine's concern when her mother disappeared but left the car behind. Elaine believed the car's presence indicated that Pearl never left the house. Bill Bruns told the police that after an argument with his wife, he left to get Chinese food. When he returned, she was gone. But he wasn't worried because she sometimes left without explanation. Officers discovered that Pearl often left home for extended periods, ranging from 2 to 7 days, to visit friends in Old Orchard Beach or relatives. Although her absences weren't unusual, the fact that her car was still in the garage raised questions about how she could have left. Police contacted airlines' bus and cab services, but found no evidence that Pearl had left town. Bill Bruns suggested that his wife had probably run off with another man, and the police chief agreed. Sheriff Schwartz did not believe Pearl was missing. He thought she was drunk and might have run off with another man. Schwartz knew Bill personally and believed he was not the type to hurt anyone. He even told reporter Christine Young that Pearl, who had been married 6 or 7 times, probably eloped with one of her ex-husbands. When Christina asked about her current husband, Schwartz insisted it couldn't be him, as he had known Bill for 20 years. Days turned into weeks, and Pearl's family feared they would never see her again. In Portland, Maine, the police continued their search for Pearl, who was 48 years old. Prosecutors grew suspicious of Bill because he had not reported her missing. His behaviour in this case was peculiar. If you came home one day and found that your wife had disappeared without any explanation, you would file a missing persons report, but Bruns did nothing. It was Pearl's daughter from a previous marriage, Elaine, who went to the police. Elaine also stated that she had no doubt her mother was no longer alive, as Pearl was the type of person who would go to great lengths to contact her family. Later, Pearl's suitcase was found partially packed on her bed with blood spatters on it. Officers believed the blood could have resulted from things being thrown, a struggle, or someone striking her with a weapon. In the days before her disappearance, police discovered that Pearl had been spending more time at her favourite bar, where she confided in friends about frequent fights with Bill, mostly about money and her prolonged depression. As soon as news of Pearl's disappearance hit the local media, reports poured in. One of Pearl's friends claimed to have seen her walking late at night along the pier, but none of these reports were confirmed and the case went cold. 6 weeks later, a hiker on the Appalachian Trail, about 320 kilometers from Nugentshire, found Pearl's purse containing all her documents, jewelry, cosmetics and money. Elaine confirmed that the items belonged to her mother. A search conducted in the area revealed nothing else, but police have now labelled the case as a possible homicide. According to the officer, the purse was found in plain sight with the woman's personal belongings, driver's license, jewelry and money inside. Additionally, blood spatters were found on the outside of the purse. The officer was sure it was placed there on purpose, suggesting someone wanted it to be found. Meanwhile, Detective Barker returned to the Bruns house to question Bill. Once inside, she noticed something new and was immediately struck by what she thought was a new rug. When she asked Bill about it, he replied that it was the same carpet that had always been there and that he had just shampooed and vacuumed it. Linda was astonished by how pristine the carpet looked. However, when neighbours were interviewed, they revealed that they had seen Bill Bruns struggling to bring a carpet steam cleaner into the house. This raised questions about why he would lie to the police about having recently shampooed the carpet. A few days later, Pearl's daughter visited the Bruns house to express her suspicions. Elaine told Bill, "You were the last person to see my mother, and you're the only one who might know what happened to her." In response, Bill just sat in silence, not saying a word. To search the Bruns home, the police used service dogs trained with a special chemical formula called pseudotrope, which mimics the scent of decomposing flesh. The trained dogs would lie down when they detected the odour of a dead body. When Dr. Edward David walked his dog through the house, the dog circled several times before heading to the basement. Near the entrance, the dog lay down, indicating the possible location of a dead body. Detectives began digging in the area indicated by the dog, confident they would solve Pearl's mysterious disappearance. However, to their surprise, they found nothing. Despite months of searching, the only clue to Pearl's disappearance remained her purse, discovered on a hiking trail 320 kilometers from her New Hampshire home. Although the service dog detected the odour of human remains in Pearl's basement, the digging yielded no results. It was a major setback for investigators. They found the investigation challenging due to its prolonged nature, eventually questioning if they were making mistakes. Despite these setbacks and the lack of new evidence, the police remained convinced that Pearl was dead and were determined to uncover the truth about what had happened and who the killer was. During this time, there was speculation that Pearl's body might have been dumped at sea or somewhere along the highway that Bill Bruns travelled weekly in his truck while hauling fish from Maine to Canada. Some officers believed this would be an effective way to dispose of the body, as Bill could have hidden the corpse in his refrigerated truck and transported it along with the fish, where the blood might have gone unnoticed. Additionally, given Bill's connections with fishermen at the wharf, there was also a theory that Pearl could have been taken out to sea and thrown overboard from a fishing boat. Meanwhile, Bill Bruns continued to claim that his wife had eloped with her ex-husband. However, a friend of Pearl's, Diana, revealed information that contradicted this. Shortly before her disappearance, Pearl told Diana, "If anything happens to me, Bill did it." Diana initially didn't grasp the significance of this and later forgot about the conversation. With this new information, the police obtained another search warrant for the Bruns home. This time, they used luminol, a chemical that fluoresces when it detects blood that has been cleaned up. When luminol was applied in the Bruns home, it revealed a gruesome scene. Blood spatters were visible on the walls and floor, and bloody footprints led to the bathroom. The carpeting and linoleum showed areas where large amounts of blood had been spilled and then cleaned. There was also more blood on the stairs leading to the basement, suggesting a bloody object had been dragged down the steps. At the bottom of the stairs, there was a large blood stain, and even more disturbing was the stain found in the basement. A bloody impression of a human body matching Pearl's height was discovered on the dirt floor. This made it clear that a substantial amount of blood had been spilled and cleaned up in the Bruns home, contradicting Bill's claim that his wife had simply left. Detective Harriman showed Bill the luminol evidence and asked for his thoughts. Bill responded, "I would suspect the husband." Despite this, he continued to maintain his innocence. He refused to take a lie detector test. The police were unsure of their next move, as they had already excavated the basement floor and found nothing. For the next 9 months, the investigation stalled until the police learned about a new forensic tool that they hoped would help them find Pearl's body. Despite 3 separate searches and previous excavations in the Bruns basement, the police were convinced that the key to Pearl's disappearance was there. According to the officer, they couldn't abandon the possibility of evidence in the basement, but digging up the entire floor by hand was nearly impossible. That's when Detective Harriman discovered a new forensic tool, ground penetrating radar (GPR). He contacted Harding C, a local environmental engineering firm that had the equipment. 13 months after Pearl's disappearance, the basement was surveyed using GPR. This technology, commonly used to detect large metal objects buried underground, sends high-frequency radio waves into the ground. When these waves encounter an obstacle, such as a buried container, the signal reflects back to the device. However, locating a body presented a challenge, as the human body is primarily composed of water, fatty tissue, flesh, and bone. According to geophysicist Scott Colkin, the study revealed that the human body does not transmit radio wave energy effectively. In the Bruns basement, the radar detected a constant reflection at a depth of about 1 meter from the surface. Preliminary excavation uncovered rust-coloured oxidized sand, but there was another area where no reflection was recorded. This area showed white spotting, indicating that something had absorbed the energy. The researchers were uncertain about what this could be until they dug it up and examined it. When Bill Bruns returned home from work, investigators resumed excavating his basement. After only a few shovelfuls of dirt, they discovered a plastic bag buried about 60 centimeters below the surface. The surface that caught their attention revealed a head wrapped in a plastic bag. Investigators continued digging and uncovered a badly decomposed human body wrapped in 2 large garbage bags and secured with rope and duct tape. The body was wearing a wristwatch with Pearl's name engraved on it and pink shoelaces like those Pearl was last seen wearing. The smell of decomposition was overwhelming, prompting the police to go upstairs to confront Bill Bruns one final time. Around 6 in the evening, Bill was in his kitchen eating spaghetti for dinner when officers entered and informed him of his arrest for his wife's murder. Bill reacted by saying that murder was a serious charge and insisted that he had not killed anyone and that they had no proof against him. The police officer informed Bill Bruns about the dead body discovered in the basement, which led him to confess everything. The stench of the decomposed body was so intense that it could be smelled for miles. While sitting upstairs eating spaghetti, Bill asked if he could finish his meal before being taken away. Bill was arrested and charged with murder. He eventually pleaded guilty to manslaughter and was sentenced to 15 years in prison. After the trial, investigators remarked that without forensic advancements like luminol and GPR, it was highly likely Bill Bruns might have escaped justice. Ironically, during Pearl's autopsy, the pathologist discovered that she had terminal cancer and had only 6 months left to live. Additionally, the Q Crime channel offers numerous other captivating cases for you to explore. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated with Q Crime Story videos every day. Farewell for now, and we eagerly anticipate your presence in our future videos.